Good Tuesday morning to you. I am Dan Kopp of Leading Like a Buffalo, coming to you live from the greater Madison area where it is a sunny, beautiful, cold, negative 13-degree day here in the Madison area. And joining me, like always, is Ty Firsching. Good morning, Ty.
Good morning, Dan. And negative 13 seems a little cold since it's 80 here. If you don't know, my name's Ty Firsching, and I'm currently from in Uganda, coming to you live from Entebbe. And it's pretty much summertime here right now. So we're loving the heat, although it does get a little hot because of the mugginess. But I'm glad to be here. I'm excited for today's topic, Dan.
Right on. Well, we appreciate those of you who are watching live. And if you're watching the replay, feel free to share the replay and drop comments. If you have any questions, if you're live or watching the replay, you have any questions, feel free to let us know and we will do our best to answer the questions in the next episode, or if you're live, we'll do it in this episode. As always, you can check out our content, the Enhanced Leadership Project. We've got a YouTube channel, and if you'd like to work with Ty and or me, you can contact us directly on LinkedIn or reach out to us directly via email, and our emails are at the bottom of the screen, dan@leadingbuffalo.com and ty@tradesecrets.com. So today's topic: how great leaders inspire accountability in others. And to start us today, we're going back to Ty. Take it away.
All right, Dan, thanks very much. I'm excited for this. This is our third installment for Accountability Month, and we're talking about how great leaders inspire accountability in others. Last week, if you missed it, is kind of the precursor to this, because we talked about trust and accountability through yourself and through your organization. And trust lays the foundation. When we're dealing with trust and accountability, you can't be accountable without an element of trust. And I had mentioned a little bit before last week that trust is a two-way street. And that was very important with the accountability, because not only as a leader do you have to trust your employees, but you have to get your employees to trust you. And when that trust is established, that lays a foundation for accountability. Once that is established, that is the complete foundation to inspire your whoever you're leading, even inspire leaders at times. Because what we do is, when we have that foundation laid and you have the accountability factor in place, you don't come down on mistakes. They trust that they can do something. You can give them the leeway, or they'll take the leeway and do something a little different, or take the initiative, and you don't come down on them. They trust that you will support them. That instills an air of that motivation to continue forward and to do what they want to do, as long as it's in line with what the organization has. So you can't come down on people for doing something different, because it's not the way you do it, because you'll squash what they think. I thought that was a great idea. Why is he coming down on me? I don't understand. And then it squashes their ability to, I guess, be free to express themselves, so to speak, in a way that's more appropriate for growth, as opposed to just keeping the status quo in business. And Dan, I know you've had some experience with this, and so I'm going to kick it back to you, because I see you nodding. You're like, yeah. So yeah. Go ahead.
Trust is paramount in everything we do as leaders. And with the trust we've established by being accountable to our people in our organization, we've developed a two-way street of trust. And with that trust, you've also got to focus on your people, and it starts with expectations. So if you've got the trust in your people that you've hopefully developed, you can set forth expectations, and expectations in regard to outcomes. Getting back to Ty's point, how you get to that outcome might be up for debate. And if we've got a trusted relationship and Ty works for me, and I say, Ty, this is what I need to get done, I don't need to tell him steps 1 through 12 to get there. I just say, here's the expectation. It's on you to get it done. So how he gets there is up to him. You can instill the accountability, onus of the accountability by telling Ty, the expectation. This is what I want done and when I want it by. He's got the wherewithal, the ability, and the skill set to get it done in a manner that is appropriate for him in the context, and he sees the route to take. And then on the back end, we verify, yes, it was done the not necessarily the manner in which it was done, but it met the expectation and the timeline was met. So there's accountability. It's very easy for people to hear the word accountability and think, oh, negative, right? It's so easy. But if you approach it through an expectation lens, it just sets the groundwork for success, and it destigmatizes the concept of accountability. Because yes, accountability can be a negative thing. Ty, you said something inappropriate. I'm going to hold you accountable for that. That makes sense. That's the unsavory portion of a leader's job. But the savory, palatable portion of accountability is, Ty, this is what I expect to get done. These are my expectations, the organization's expectations. I want it done by close of business Friday. Make it happen. And then if we've got that trusting relationship, I know Ty's going to take that and do what he knows needs to be done to make that happen. If we don't have the trust, or if Ty doesn't have the skill set yet to get it done without guidance, I'm going to say, here are the expectations. Plus, I'm going to help you with how to get it done. I will give you some guidance on how. So that just shows the people you're leading that you understand their abilities and their skills, respect them enough to, if Ty's got the skill, to, hey, it's on you, go, make it happen. But also respect the newness and the less veteran knowledge this person might have. They might not have the skills. So I'm going to respect that. I'm going to show Ty respect by giving him the support necessary, and so that he can meet the expectation of close of business to have this done on Friday. And either way, I've laid the groundwork with expectations, built in trust, and the accountability piece in the back end is just the way we do business. And when you're accountable, hold your people accountable, again, through a positive lens, it's easy for them to understand the importance of accountability and hold themselves accountable, not only to the task at hand, but to the organization, to their coworkers, to you as their leader, etc.
Yeah. I'm reminiscing or regaling in my mind all the opportunities I've had, some good, some bad in my life, where trust was key, but the whole ability to inspire, even though I was a leader, there are leaders above you, and they gave me the opportunity to grow. And I was like, oh yeah, well, let me do it this way. One falls back on me as I was director of a volunteer placement service for the University of Colorado. And I got that position just kind of out of luck a little bit, but also I was qualified, but I was new to the university. So I had proven myself at another college, but then at the University of Colorado, I was new. They didn't know me. They saw my track record, my resume at that time. And they're like, okay, this guy can do it. And two people hired me, and one said, just let him run, because I've talked to people who worked with him and who he worked for, and he will get it done. If he says he's going to do it, he's going to do it. There was that trust element. And then I was able to do things for that organization that had never been done before, because I didn't know any better about what I wasn't supposed to do at the University of Colorado. But yeah, I increased the budget by 300%. I brought in people from outside, and I've increased the organizational and reach by a lot. And it's still running today. It's one of the major cost centers of the university. And at the point I took over, it was going to get canceled the next semester anyway. So all the funding was going to go because it really wasn't doing anything. I didn't know not to do anything. I didn't know anybody else who would have gotten in there and go, well, this is going to be canceled. Let me just write out the paycheck and I'll look for something next semester. I didn't. You can't tell me no. And the one trusted him, just let him go. Don't tell him, like that. And I found out about halfway through the semester, what do you mean you're canceling the program? And they're like, and finally, when it got to the end of the semester, I go, well, we can't cancel it now. He's brought in too many big players out of the community. The community's going to go, why are you canceling this program? We just bought into it. And so that was that trust, and it inspired me to do better. I've been on the other side where I've come up with an idea. Hey, I have this great idea for a program. And my boss is like, I don't think so. Or they go, yeah, let me think about it. They gave me, let me think about it. But when parents say, let me think about it, it's a no. Right. And so, and of course, a week later, this other partner, cohort of mine, our program, they called it, no, we're not going to go with it. A year and a half later, our boss gets promoted, goes into another section of the company, and starts this wonderful program. And I got wind of it through somebody else. Oh, I'm doing this program. This is the program we're doing. And I go, where did you think of that? And they're like, I go, I had a similar program like that a couple of years ago, almost exactly the same. And it turns to find out that the person who told them about it was their direct supervisor who stole the idea from me. And there's that trust element, right? So there's your difference between positional leadership and inspirational leadership, right?
Right.
So you have this guy who's like, I'm in this position. I can use this idea to get promoted and do my next position, which is exactly what he did. He was in the process of interviewing. He stole the idea, took it, bam, and went. And I was sat there. I was like, well, what can I do with that? Not much, but I learned not to trust people, which is unfortunate, because once you learn not to trust people and bring forth ideas, even if you go to another organization, you still are reserved. So Dan, how do we as leaders, if a leader does something like that, how can you regain or gain an employee's trust who comes from such an environment? Because that's what we're talking about today.
All right. I agree. And I'm always, I think I mentioned this last time. I'll tell people who I'm leading, like, you're not wrong for not trusting me. I'm new here, or you're new. We have a new relationship. You're not wrong for trusting me, but I have hired you, Ty, for a reason, and I need to trust you. So this is what we need to do. I'm going to assume in the previous example you gave, they saw what they assumed was an appropriate skill set. So they didn't give you the whole information like, all right, Ty, you're in this position. Good luck. We'll be over here doing our stuff. And you took the ball and ran with it. But that showed you that they trusted you. And then the accountability piece, you made stuff happen, and then it turned into something that they couldn't ignore anymore or cut. So it's based on that trust that we talked about last week. You're a new employee here. I've got to show you that I trust you. I hired you for a reason. I must trust that you have the skill set to get this done. So trust but verify, right? So I'm going to trust you. I'm not going to, what I would do wouldn't be to, hey, Ty, you're new. Good luck. See ya. Here's my expectation. I'll be over here. Let me know when you're done. I would be checking in with you along the way to see what support you need, if any. If nothing else, like, hey, I'm here. You're doing exactly what I wanted you to do, or you're working towards the goal I want you to achieve. What support can I provide you in order to get that done? So I really think it starts with trust. And at the end of that, I will have instilled in you a sense of accountability, because I was there with my expectations along the way. You knew what the end goal was, but it also showed you that I trusted you to get the job done. And ultimately, that's going to go a long way in you starting to trust me as your new leader.
Yeah.
And it comes down to trust. And you got to think about that when you've got people who work for you. Their titles, like, this is going to be very specific to public education, but I was an associate principal at one point in time and not an assistant principal. I had a rather cerebral senior student come to me, and he said, why are you not an assistant principal? Why are you an associate? What's the difference? I said, well, in my opinion, in my world, an assistant would be, Ty, you're my assistant principal. Here's what I want done. Here's when I want it done. And here's how I want you to do it. Go do it. An associate principal, I would say, Ty, here's what I want done. Here's when I want it done. Let me know what support I can give you. Good luck. So I was set up by the system to be in a trust-laden environment because I was an associate and not an assistant. I could think for myself. I could implement in a manner that I saw fit. I just needed to do things in accordance with what the expectation was as an outcome. And there's the huge difference between again, very specific for this example, but in education, an assistant principal versus an associate principal. I could think for myself and do things as long as the end result was what my boss or the district mandated. I was okay to get there however path I wanted to get to. And that's how you start building trust, whether it's organizationally through a title, and then you support that. Because I could have had a boss who said, yeah, you're an associate, but I still want you to do an X. That's really an assistant then. It's not an associate. Or so supplying that organizational trust and then supporting it as the leader to acknowledge the importance of the hire. Ty, you're new here. You're an associate. You're not an assistant. Here's my expectation of what needs to get done, when it needs to get done. I'm here to support you. Knock yourself out. And then check in with Ty periodically. I'd say it's a 3-week project. How are you doing, Ty? At least on a weekly basis. How are things going? What support do you need? Is there any roadblocks that you've encountered that I can help you remove? Do you need any support? What supplies, money, financial, whatever? And that's my job as a leader, to support my people and to recognize them as autonomous individuals. If I want automatons to go in there and just say, Ty, do as I say, and here are the 12 steps and do it. Well, I don't need somebody with Ty's skill set to go and do that. Then I could just plug anybody into that position and have them do it. But that's not going to instill trust. It's not going to instill accountability, because there's got to be some autonomy when you are working, other than working on a manufacturing line. There's not a whole lot of chance for autonomy when you're building widgets and they've all got to be the same. So that's how I build trust, is recognizing the skill set in your individuals, supporting them accordingly, setting expectations, and holding them accountable through a positive lens for those expectations while I'm supporting them along the way.
Yeah, and there's that accountability factor through trust again. And so remember that trust is holding yourself accountable, what we talked about, which was last week. You hold yourself accountable. And then the whole applicability of being able to inspire people is still done first by that trust foundation. You're not only holding yourself accountable, you're holding them accountable. And if they're inspired, they're going to hold themselves accountable, because they don't want to let you down. Okay, and then you have these positional ways that are a little bit different dichotomy, because you have the leaders, this is what we do, get it done, and you got to stay away from micromanaging. If you want to inspire others and show growth as opposed to sustainability, you have to stay away from micromanaging, because that is going to inspire others. And when people are inspired, different ideas come and they grow. When you're just trying to meet a quota and you're not thinking for betterment of the entire organization as a whole, that inspire level comes down. So I think that's so important that leaders recognize. And I tell leaders, look in the mirror. Like, if you don't know why your people aren't inspired, look in the mirror, because there's something you're doing that is stopping that or squashing it. And whatever it is, you look at your values. Are your values in alignment with the company? Are your values in alignment with being the leader you want to be? Or are you a positional leader? Are you just, hey, you're put in this position, like you said, an assembly line. You're the foreman of the assembly line, right? Which means everybody else has, every other one will, not to knock assembly lines by any means, but we're using that as a cookie cutter example, because you can't change the product midstream in an assembly line.
Right.
Okay. You can be innovative at the end and go, hey, I got this idea. Maybe we can do this. That's a whole different story. But you have to understand, if it's a positional leadership that they're in, I'm dollars to donuts, the ability to inspire is diminished. If it's 100% position, if you take your position too seriously, you need to bring in that inspirational leadership. And we've talked about that before. And I really honestly believe those are the two types. I don't care what you say, you're a servant leader, situational leader, any type of leader. It's a percentage of positional and a percentage of inspirational that make up the other types of leaderships, all 15,000 of them.
Right. Yeah. I'm reminded, inspiration is huge, and if your people aren't inspired, you do have to look in the mirror. There's you've got to make them want to be better, whether it's through a management lens and you're paying them appropriately to be excellent and rewarding their excellence, or it's yay, giving them a pep talk. I'm reminded of a commercial. I wish I remembered what the actual product was, but a professor comes up into the front of a lecture hall and he's like, today we're going to talk about molars. And he was a dental professor. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what you need to do as a leader. We're going to build widgets today, people. Yes, let's do this. Whatever it takes to keep people inspired and excited. And if you do them, if you're the best widget maker in this organization or this company, you're going to get paid accordingly. Well, who wouldn't want to be paid the most? And if we all aspire, there's a threshold, and we all aspire to get there, and we all are above it, we've got a great thing going. It's going to cost us more money, but we've got the best and the best output of widgets and the most widgets and the best quality, and we're killing it in the marketplace. So it's a win-win. So inspiration is key. Setting the example as a leader, and if you're not a first level leader, you're middle or higher level leader, you're holding your first level leaders accountable. They're going to do the same to their teams. And that's how you create a culture of accountability, through a positive lens versus a negative lens, which is also there. We haven't talked about that side, but we all know I'm going to hold you accountable for X, Y, and Z. There's the negative side, which is also very important in an organization. You can't ignore that. It's not fun for anybody, but you just can't ignore it. So any final thoughts on accountability, Ty, and inspiring others?
Yeah, and we didn't even touch on this because when you said, let's talk molars, I was thinking, the leaders that have inspired me the most throughout my career, and what I try to do is they always have a story, personal story they can relate about how they got to where they are, what stumbling blocks they had, and they're able to convey that to the people they're leading. And so the people go, wow, that's a great story. They give me the opportunity, and I took it, but it was only because I was granted the opportunity. When leaders are able to reflect back on their own experiences, that gives them insight to how they are leading themselves. Because everybody at one point was given a chance. I mean, even if you go to school, you go get a teaching degree, and you get hired, you're put in a leadership position, and that's positional. Your students are going to do what you tell them to do theoretically because you're the teacher. However, you can have the same person go to school, get a teaching degree, get hired, and their class excels because that teacher knows how to inspire their students. That's a leadership. And that teacher inspires their co-teachers, their teachers around them at the same level, and it raises the organization. You can't have the epitome of the 1950s math instructor go, and then we divide by 2, and that leaves X alone, and talk in a monotonic voice the entire time without having some substance to say.
Right.
So I think that ability to connect to the people you lead and to other people with personal stories, whether it's of triumph or of failure, is what really helps make you relatable and people want to do things for you or want to not let you down. And I think that human connection is important. We didn't even talk about that. That's a whole nother episode. So
right on. Stay tuned. We'll come up with that episode in the future. All right. Well, today we've talked about some things you can do as a leader to inspire accountability in others, keeping in mind that accountability is not negative 100% of the time. It is hopefully more positive than anything. And there's the math geek in Ty coming out, always being positive. As always, we appreciate you taking the time to share some of your time in your day with us in regard to learning about leadership. Ty and I do this weekly. We'd like to hear from you. If you have any thoughts or questions, you can always check us out on YouTube at the Enhanced Leadership Project YouTube channel. And if you'd like to work with us, feel free to reach out via DM or directly via email. Email's at the bottom of the screen, and we'd love to hear from you and interact with you. So until next time, we're talking leadership. You can do it. Good luck.
Take care, everyone.